multiple Russian drones illegally crossed into the airspace of Poland. Those drones were ultimately shot down by NATO jets and are now being viewed as a deliberate provocation from Russia. Poland says some of those drones came from Belarus and have now closed the border between the two countries. Joining us now to talk more about this drone incursion is the Hill's White House correspondent, Alex Gangitano. Alex, good morning to you. Russia is denying it targeted Poland, saying this was all just a mistake. What is the reaction to that coming from the White House and from Congress?
That's right. Russia is denying this. Meanwhile, what we've heard from the president so far was a post on Truth Social yesterday saying, "Here we go," acknowledging that these drones had gone into Poland airspace. We haven't heard if the president plans on reaching out to Russian President Vladimir Putin, but just days earlier on Tuesday night when he was dining out in Washington, he said that he had planned to speak to him within the next week or so. So that was before this happened. He did reach out to the Polish president and had a conversation with them, and we know that there'll be more conversations with allies as the days go on about what happens now, what happens with Article 4 of NATO, the defense alliance of the treaty. So we're kind of in waiting mode to see how the president responds, and we know how hard he's been working on trying to find a solution to the war in Ukraine and his frustration with Putin as the days go on without peace talks.
So what does Russia continue saying about this, and does the administration have any idea of what Russia may be planning next?
That's right. Moscow's denying that these drones even came from Russia. Meanwhile, there were 19 drones found in Polish airspace detected by Polish officials, but they're denying the incident overall. But it does raise questions, as you suggest, of what happens next. Is this now officially dragging Poland into this war, which of course drags in all of NATO, or is this, a fluke that happened? And I think that's a lot of what the White House is trying to figure out at this point, is what, kind of response there needs to be. It's interesting, the president next week will be going to the United Kingdom, and we expect some conversations with the UK Prime Minister, and a lot of those already were going to be focused on the war in Ukraine, and now they'll have a lot on their plates to discuss, especially with other allies too.
So Alex, I want to read a statement from Representative Brian Maskey. He's a Republican out of Florida. He's the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He said last night was a clear and purposeful attack by Russia against Poland and in turn NATO. What would be the logic behind this? I believe its design was to test our resolve to respond. A calculation by Putin, that response will be no more than an Article 4 consultation. We know Article 4 has been invoked, so NATO allies are speaking about what to do next. There are, rumblings, about Article 5 and potentially what that means. But in terms of Congress, we know that there's been growing pressure on the president to put these direct sanctions onto Russia. Are we expected to hear those calls grow even louder in the next coming days?
Yeah, I do expect those calls from Congress to grow louder, wanting the president to take a firmer stance on Russia in the way of sanctions. And it's an interesting moment, though, because this president, we've seen him have these kind of frustration moments with Putin, saying, that we thought this was the turning point, that he's going to impose sanctions on them, with the fact that Putin has not wanted to come to the table to talk. We know he hosted him in Alaska last month, and still no further progress. Meanwhile, is this going to be the turning point that causes Congress to raise their voices at this White House about imposing sanctions on Russia? And would it cause the president to go ahead and do so? I mean, he's already, put sanctions on India because of their oil purchases from Russia. So he's been moving in that direction. But I do think we're going to see members of Congress, Republicans as well, as you mentioned, Congressman Mass, wanting this White House to do more.
So speaking of Congress, the top Democrat in Congress, Hakeem Jeffries, had something to say about this.
We need to stand by our ally in Poland, a NATO nation, and an attack on one of us, pursuant to Article 5, is an attack on all of us. We need to stand by Poland.
And Poland's hoping for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. Yeah, Alex, did you talk about that Poland wants a UN Security Council meeting on this?
That's right. There's already meetings underway to discuss this. And it's interesting rhetoric from Democrats on this, saying we need to back up our ally in Poland any way we can. I think Republicans are focused on sanctions as the way to do that. But the pressure from both sides, it does feel like they're aligned in a way about having to respond to this. I mean, this was something that we heard about an issue back during the Biden administration. President Biden warned that this could happen, that Putin's next plan was to move into Poland. Now, if these drones reach that level, that's up to this president to figure out. But we know there'll be a lot of conversations, especially at the UN. And later this month, the president is headed up to New York for United Nations General Assembly meeting. So I'm sure this will be another big topic there.
Definitely be sure of that. Alex Gangitano live at the White House for us this morning. Alex, we appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Alex.